Good afternoon to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our tropical weather outlook for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. I apologize for not posting a video yesterday because I kind of had scheduling conflicts and I was not able to squeeze in a video. I could have actually, but it would have already been late at night, and I'm pretty sure nobody would have seen it. So I decided to push back till today when I knew that I would be able to record a video and probably have a lot of people see it. And in the meantime, during the time that I did not talk to you, Tropical Storm Jerry has formed, and it formed yesterday. And it is a pretty interesting storm today. It's a little messy right now, dealing with some shear, but it will bring impacts to the islands as there are tropical storm watches in effect for portions of the northern Caribbean islands right now. I'm going to go over those watches and I'm going to go over the latest on how Jerry is doing. And we're also going to go over Eastern Pacific activity as well, since there is stuff to talk about in the Eastern Pacific. So, a lot to go over today. So, let's get started with the National Hurricane Center homepage. Starting off here, obviously, on Tropical Storm Jerry. Maximum sustained winds are at 60 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 1,000 millibars. So we are seeing strengthening despite the fact that this is dealing with wind shear. And this probably will continue to deal with wind shear somewhat over the next several days, but the National Hurricane Center does forecast strengthening of this system. So we'll see if the wind shear has enough of an impact that this won't be able to become a hurricane. And I should say the National Hurricane Center does forecast for this to be a hurricane. And we'll go over the latest on that in a little bit. But also another factor probably contributing to it maybe not doing so well right now, moving west-northwest at 23 miles per hour. And because of that, this is how it looks on satellite. You could definitely see very fastward moving motion with the low-level center here. And then we have all the convective activity, which is concentrated to the east side of the system. So there's definitely a difference in wind direction in the lower levels and probably the mid levels of the atmosphere. So because of that, this is obviously dealing with quite a bit of shear, but recon is finding that somehow this is still beginning to strengthen. In fact, here's the latest recon pass within Jerry. 1,003 millibars is the latest pressure they found, and I say that it is strengthening because they found a pressure of 1,005, 1,007 millibars earlier. So clearly there is some sort of intensification that's still happening with Jerry. I guess maybe it is these convective bursts that are still strong enough that the system is holding on. And maybe once this does find a lower shear environment, this will begin to strengthen. And I think the GFS does do that over the next several days. But, recon did find strengthening pressure, but also found some quite strong flight level winds here. Some of them as much as 60, even 64 knots. So that does definitely support the intensity of at least 60 miles per hour. Maybe even we'll see an upgrade here to 65 miles per hour in the 5 o'clock advisory. But nonetheless, Jerry, a hurricane. And then obviously with the wind shear situation here, you do see that this is in some pockets of higher wind shear, values as high as 15 to 20 knots. And again, a lot of that does also have to do with the fact that it seems like there is a difference in wind direction in both the lower level and the mid levels of the atmosphere. And I think that does also have to do with the trades here, which is actually very odd that we have a situation with trades in October. But regardless, if we look at the National Hurricane Center track, they still forecast this to become a hurricane. Now, they do forecast this to become a hurricane later because yesterday's track, I think already by the time this got towards the islands, or even before the islands, the National Hurricane Center already forecasted yesterday that this would pretty much be a hurricane by now. But I guess that now, because it looks like this is struggling quite a bit in the short term, or at least maybe struggling a little bit more than what was once thought, National Hurricane Center, they still forecast a hurricane, but now it seems like it's going to happen once this gets past the islands. and then this will probably strengthen. And let's actually really quickly see how strong the National Hurricane Center forecasts the peak. They bring this to 80 miles per hour, so Category 1 intensity, and maybe there's the potential for higher as this moves on off to the north, and then eventually on off to the northeast here. So that means areas further west, like the Bahamas and the east coast of the United States, and even Bermuda, might be able to breathe a sigh of relief. Well, definitely the United States and the Bahamas, but maybe Bermuda might be a little bit closer to Jerry, so you guys might still have to watch out a little bit. But National Hurricane Center keeps the track to the east of Bermuda, which is obviously a good thing, but obviously we will still be dealing quite a bit with swells, high rip current risks up and down the East Coast for probably the next week or so, and definitely with a coastal system here that will be off the East Coast, and I will show you that with the GFS model towards the end of the video. But that is the latest on Jerry. Let's see what else is going on in the tropics. There is obviously a low pressure in the Bay of Campeche, and this is very much likely just gonna head inland to Mexico, bring probably lots of heavy rainfall over Mexico and Central America. I mean, this never really had that much of a chance to develop. And this probably at the 8 p.m. advisory, the National Hurricane Center is going to downgrade this to a 0-0, no chance of development at all. But again, regardless, you even see it in the last sentence here on the outlook for this. Regardless, areas of heavy rain and gusty winds are likely across portions of southern Mexico during the next day or so. So now moving on to the Eastern Pacific, we have other things to be watching there right now, including 2 tropical storms, one of them which will have an impact on the southwestern United States, and that is Tropical Storm Priscilla. And then there's also Tropical Storm Octave here, and this is probably on its way out. Only 40 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 1,003 millibars right now, so not really needing to worry about Octave currently. And I'll show you the National Hurricane Center forecast track here in a little bit. This is going to die out, but Priscilla was a hurricane earlier. It actually looked like a pretty decent hurricane yesterday, although it did not. I don't think it strengthened to a major hurricane, but it did become. It was a hurricane yesterday. Now it's beginning to weaken today. Maximum sustained winds just below hurricane intensity at 70 miles per hour, with a minimum pressure of 985 millibars, located at 21.7 north, 112.7 west, moving northwest at 7 miles per hour, and then eventually this is going to bend back here towards the northeast, and then more than likely as a remnant low, with its remnant moisture bringing lots of rainfall, or at least a decent bit of it, to the southwestern United States. And this is how things are looking like in the Eastern Pacific right now. Obviously, you can see Octave and Priscilla here, and especially Priscilla, with quite the broad core that it has, or at least the shell of whatever is remaining of the core. This did have a pretty large eye yesterday, and I guess you could still kind of see the remnants of that, but obviously it's much, not a lot of very potent, strong convective activity surrounding it anymore, besides maybe a few showers and thunderstorms that are still remaining here, as this is, moving into cooler waters as this progresses further northwestward into the Pacific. But again, still going to bring some heavy rainfall here to the northwestern portion of Mexico and the southwest portion of the United States. And then there's Octave in here, barely holding on. There's a convective burst that happens there, but then it kind of dies out. And it's probably getting sheared from the influence of Priscilla. But then you could also see here in the Bay of Campeche, you could see quite a bit of convective activity that is associated with the AOI that we have here. But again, more than likely not going to develop. But I'm pretty sure if this maybe had at least a day or two left over water, maybe that might have been a different situation. But not going to develop right now, but you can definitely see lots of convective activity being produced, so that once again will mean a lot of heavy rainfall for Mexico. And then we have here another invest area here, 90E, and just really quickly going over this, this has a pretty high chance of likely becoming the next system here in the Eastern Pacific, I know we're talking about even more storms here in the Eastern Pacific. Quite incredible to believe. But yes, there's going to be something else that develops here. This will move parallel to the Mexican coastline once again. And the formation chance for this is high in the next 48 hours at 70%. And in the next 7 days, it is at 80%. So, once again, very likely here to become our next named system in the Pacific. But I do want to show you the track of Octave and then Priscilla. First off here with Octave, only going to be, a weak tropical storm, going to not last for much longer. In fact, probably will be a remnant low by later tonight. Definitely by tomorrow morning, as the National Hurricane Center here forecasts. So no need to worry about Octave anymore. But then there is Priscilla, and this still has about a day or so left in it. There are tropical storm watches in effect for portions of the southwestern Baja Peninsula coastline, and will be as probably some showers and thunderstorms might bring some gusty conditions here to the coastline, but Priscilla will remain offshore while it's a tropical system. But then, obviously, as we head towards the end of the week and it begins to move in a more northward direction towards the Baja Peninsula, it will die out. It will become a post-tropical system, but once again, as I've been saying, its remnant moisture will make its way upward here into the Baja and then eventually into the southwestern United States. And here you can see that very clearly illustrated, the day 1 to 3 rainfall forecast here across the southwestern United States from the Weather Prediction Center. Obviously, there is rainfall forecasted here where Priscilla currently is, but then largen that out to the next 3 days, and you see that there is quite a decent amount of rainfall forecasted here over the southwestern United States, especially over Arizona, even some portions of Utah and Colorado in here. And the rain is not going to be super heavy, but as much as 1 to 2, maybe even up to 4 inches, and maybe higher in some cases. And obviously, since we are talking about heavy rainfall, this is probably the biggest threat that I'm concerned about when it comes to the rainfall is going to be the flash flooding risk. And as you can see here by the Weather Prediction Center, they forecast a slight risk for potential flash flooding. And this is not super high, but obviously it is not zero. So if you are in the southwestern United States here, especially over Arizona, you want to keep an eye out on the flooding risk over the next several days. It especially peaks as we get into the weekend. As you can see here on the bottom, they actually have the individual pictures for the rainfall threat forecast for each day. And the highest risk is on Saturday, and that's when we have a moderate risk in effect for portions of, or not a moderate risk, but a slight risk in effect for portions of Arizona, especially Arizona, and then also, portions of southern Utah and southwestern Colorado. So keep in mind of that, and this will once again be the remnants of Priscilla. So please keep in mind of that. But let's go over the GFS. I want to show you what's going to happen here in the Atlantic. And just to go over with the forecast once again with Jerry. And you do see here that it does move continuously here in the northwest, or in a northwestward direction, moves into the northwestern MDR. And the latest run of the GFS brings this very close to the island. So, this probably will bring some impacts in terms of gusty winds and heavy rain to the islands. But obviously the GFS here does not forecast a landfall, and I'm pretty sure most models no longer have a landfall here for the northeastern Caribbean islands. So not as worried about a current landfall, but as much as the potential impacts that we will still get, likely once again with gusty winds and heavy rain. But then eventually this will pass to the north on Friday. And then as we head into the weekend, this will be moving northward in the western Atlantic, and then eventually get kicked on off here to the northeast as we have this very, very powerful low pressure here that will form off the east coast. And I mentioned before, this is going to bring lots of heavy rainfall, especially to coastal North Carolina. But as you can see here on the GFS, this continues further up the east coast. So this is starting to look potentially like our first nor'easter of the season for the fall and winter. And you can just imagine this is going to bring lots of heavy rainfall and very gusty conditions here to the northeast. In fact, I'll zoom in on the northeast for you. And this happens especially as we head into the end of the weekend and into early next week. And I just really quickly want to show you the amount of rainfall we're going to get quite a bit here. In fact, even portions of coastal New Jersey, as much as 2, maybe 3 inches of rain. And in general, most of the coast here, expecting 1 to 2 inches, including coastal New Jersey, even Delaware, especially once again here, peaking off of coastal North Carolina. The GFS forecasts that some areas could see here as much as 6, so half a foot of rain off of coastal North Carolina, but then it continues all the way up into Maine and even Atlantic Canada. And this happens towards the end of this week, at the very end of the week, heading into early next week. So this will definitely be an impactful storm. And this does look a little bit interesting in terms of how it looks like on vorticity. I don't necessarily think that this will at all really have a chance to transition and maybe gain some subtropical characteristics, but it definitely does look like a hybrid system that happens here in just off the East Coast. So that's what it probably will be. It'll be a hybrid system, but as I've said before, you don't need a fully tropical or even subtropical system to still bring tropical-like impacts like the heavy rainfall and the very gusty winds. Those all happen with nor'easters. We get heavy rainfall, we get gusty winds, sometimes even moderate to strong tropical storm force. And especially if you live along the coastal northeast regions, especially Long Island and even here along, the southern portions of New England, you know very well how pretty intense these nor'easters can get. And sometimes they really do feel like you're dealing with strong tropical storms, even hurricanes here, just off the coast of New England. And that's probably what we're going to be dealing with here as we head into early next week. But then eventually, this system also moves on off eastward into the Atlantic. And then maybe if this persists, maybe by then, this is as we head in towards the midweek next week, we'll see if eventually down the line something tries to happen where this maybe tries to gain some tropical or subtropical characteristics. And I do say that because as we head into the month of October, we do tend to get the subtropics to be more active. As I've said before, the pattern begins to change. The jet stream starts to get a lot more active, especially the subtropical jet, as we start getting into the fall and winter pattern. And typically because of that, we tend to get a lot more subtropical activity to try to occur here. So we'll see if maybe some of that happens here. But other than that, nothing too major to talk about with the tropics. But obviously there is Jerry that we'll need to watch. And then you also see here in the Eastern Pacific, some other development here that happens over Mexico. So we'll obviously be watching that. So a few areas to watch here in the Atlantic over the next several weeks. But obviously for right now, mainly keeping an eye out on Tropical Storm Jerry, as it is the most imminent threat right now, but mainly for the Northern Caribbean islands, with tropical storm watches in effect right now. So if you are in the Northern Caribbean islands, please keep a close eye out on Jerry. We'll continue to post updates throughout the day on Twitter. We'll be posting another video for you tomorrow as well. And we'll be continuing with these videos too on the tropics from here on out every single day, as I've said, from now all the way till November 30th. So I hope you continue to keep on top of the tropics with me. And you can do that very easily by simply liking this video. Well, more or less do that if you did find what you saw today informative, which I hope you did. But if you want to keep on top of this channel and keep on top of any and every video that I post, more than likely every single day, so make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell too. And once again, if you like my content and you find it informative and very interesting, please like the video as well and share with family and friends and others who you think might find these videos interesting. With that being said, I'm going to end it off for today. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to enjoy the rest of your day and evening. Stay safe. And as always, I'll be back with more tomorrow.